Hello everyone, it is I, Q, of the Q Continuum. Thank you for joining me for my first video. And for such a video, we will delve into a topic which does not get the attention it deserves. That being myself. We shall be going some origins, some feats, and where I scale with my omnipotence amongst the verse. Let's begin, friends. So, one may ask, Q, where do you come from? Are you perhaps a fifth dimensional imp? Incorrect. Wrong verse. You swine. No. I come from the Continuum, a race of omnipotent beings residing in a realm outside of the multiverse, which transcends space-time, subspace, and is stated by mortals so much more, but to be home to infinite domains and universes, although we are not restricted by dimensions. We will talk about this more soon. One of the most critical roles of the Q within the Star Trek verse is the quote-unquote judges of humanity roles they play within it. Being the superior beings by miles within the verse, they see all other beings as, petty, worthless. They see mortal humans as seen here second to last behind amoebas as the most pathetic. So they are kind of douchebags. John DeLacy's Q, his first appearance early on in TNG, was accusing the humans being a judge as unworthy and taking them to court. So here, they can also judge other Qs if they're being other pricks and take away their powers, making them mortal. Here we had in Voyager, Q Jr., who had his powers taken away, like his father before him in TNG, for, fill in the blank, being a prick. And you can get your powers back. This was the trial. If you prove yourself, like good morals or doing a good deed, but that wasn't the case here, so he took an L. He still was immortal for a while, and Janeway is there since, her life sucks ass being the, godmother of Q Jr. Rip her. So an interesting example I found for how humans view the Q Continuum was a scene shown in Death Wish. That was an episode in the Voyager series, and that's when Q was with another Q, Quinn. So obviously there are multiple Qs, and for Voyager, another kind of edgy Q named Quinn was a big part of it. And in this case, he basically teleported them all to a different reality of the Continuum for like lower species to comprehend. Known as like the desert road metaphor. Kind of, and once shown as like this raggedy ass shack, like pawn shop. We have kind of like some concepts, I would say, or like ideas, like we have the never closes, like they're beyond infinite measurements. They have time, obviously they are beyond time and space. That is 4D. They are infinite dimensional. I'll get to that. They have an interesting representation with two, I would assume, are avatars, the old and the new. So, and it's interesting, obviously, how the portrayals of the ideas themselves are a bunch of old men and a young woman. And then you have a man playing pinball with the galaxy. I assume that kind of symbolizes the, inevitable chaos that endures within it, and how like petty and small such galaxies are to the queue. And then with that, some are playing croquet with planets and universes, and then Quinn, for some reason, like, what's weird about the queues is that, they say they're omnipotent and they've been around for an unknown amount of years. Um, Yet there comes a point where Quinn stated, like, there's not really anything else to know, and it just gets depressing and sad. So he stayed here, like, for an unknown amount of time, and he played the pinball. He played the straw man. I do not know what the straw man represents. Maybe he's good at straw man arguments. So don't debate him, since he'll probably whip your ass. I do remember that he referred to the desert road as just a casual crossing of universes, from like this to that and that to the next imagination. Um, and yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting way to show it all off. Just very creative and dope. Now, quickly going over the sort of dimensions to scale the queue. We want to start with the episode, The Ninth Degree from TNG, um, where with a Cytherian race, after a member from the Enterprise got, like, infected with an energy surge, turning him to, like, some genius superhuman. During this, a Cytherian messenger said that there was as high as 26 observable dimensions that we could see in the Star Trek universe, which they could fathom, yet this is not stated to be the maximum, and is definitely not with later evidence. So I think for a straightforward intro to introduce the queue, we could just look at the official log and bio in this official Star Trek website for the Q race, where it does state almost immediately they are of limitless dimensions. And yes, it does link to of the galaxy. That's like one of the classic parts of the narrative. And if you want to argue one somehow cancels out the other, then bruh, something's wrong with you, man. Okay, let's move on. So, just a reference, a race, some people scale, or like try to scale similar to the Q in terms of like what they do. Personalities are the travelers, who are, I'd say, bare minimum for maybe even 5D. They can create countless universes. They aren't restricted. They're extreme reality warpers. It's kind of like what you would see, like, maybe Mr. Mix off top of your head. And these are just like, termites to Qs. They just get scared shitless by the Qs. Okay, so now to pull firstly for some comic book material to compare some races with the Q. We want to start with the Prophets of Bajor, who, within their realm, they are all powerful, controlling all of subspace, and outside of it, severely weakened. They were still sated to casually, instantly burn the universe in their wake, which is obviously a statement. Like, they would be able to do much greater than that. They have greater AP feats later on. And even with this, Q is just being a Chad and mocking them as complete cowards. The prophets are literally completely unwilling to step an inch out if they can sense a Q in their presence, and are even wishing to avoid his entrance, which they're obviously much more powerful in. So, like, this is, like, keep in mind, Q gets criticized. Like, people are like, oh, Q, he only fights humans. Like, why do you compare him to Mr. Mix or Beyonder or ABC? Well, that's because he scares every other being in the universe shitless. That is why, friend. Let us proceed. So once the prophets did grow the big balls to confront Q, he easily soloed them and absorbed their power. And this was mainly the soul amp Q got throughout the series. It was a big amp. This is Q Prophet, his strongest form, and therefore the strongest entity within Star Trek in canon. This was very critical to him actually absorbing the power because it helped him easily stop Dukat, who is probably the most potent threat to the Star Trek verse. He was in the process of transcending all of the material existence to reach power far above any other pan-wraith and aims to conquer every multiverse within the Star Trek verse. So, yeah, the prophets came in kind of clutch, actually, to give him the amp. And with said amp, as I just said prior, he had the full power of threatening to one-shot Durkat, the most powerful pan-wraith, basically like the devilish equivalent to Q's. So kind of their mirror equivalent as close as it gets. This basically just means that Q now obviously far transcends the power peak of all Qs and pan-wraiths. So he's busted. And here he is explaining to Spock and Kirk his now like far unmatched power compared to any other entity, casually seeing across every dimension. It's set in stone now. He's at least hyperversal. I was memeing a bit earlier. I mean, you can't argue he's not bound by dimensions, but in this case, he is most definitely at least set low ball at hyperversal, with the verse being set at 26 dimensions, as a humans can perceive. There's most likely more, if you want to give him respect. He has to pull some Manhattan stunts, about to like freaking BFR them back, which would be pretty dope. Also, I couldn't find the scan at the time, but when a pan-wraith like tried to hit him, he pulled like a Superboy Prime when Black Adam punched him and like said it tingled, which was pretty sick. And with like such an amp, I think that he easily transcends even Nagilum. I believe that's how you pronounce it, even having seen it several times. Who honestly I think is arguably the most natural broken entity within Star Trek without amps, apart from the Q, which we will get into now. Okay, so with Q Prophet being above every other entity confirmed, we have to turn to Nagilum, who's basically the best comparison you could bring up. He makes the Travelers look like fodder. Like, totally. Like, I thought Nagilum, when I first came across him during the episodes. I think it was Silence Has Lease, TNG, Season 2, Episode 5. Scared the shit out of me. Underrated character. But in short, he's basically a timeless, non-existent, mysterious entity within a void that the Enterprise got, like, sucked in, who holds no physical dimensions, was stated to not be able to possibly exist, was unidentifiable by the Enterprise, holds no mass or weight, while holding an infinite amount of the time. This is all coming from scans that Data did. And we all know Data is, kind of a plot device for knowing everything when needed. And Data was just flabbergasted looking at this thing like, how the fuck wouldn't you be? That's gives you nightmares. Nagilum can also change the parameters of time, come in and out of existence to be present within every dimension, which holds infinite layers. He basically be broken as fuck. He pulled a pretty coon move of. So basically, he's above the concepts that we know of. This was highlighted within the episode, dealing with life and death. And this was mainly how mortals comprehend death, which he did not know of. So when he heard of it, he just spoke death curiously and instantly drove a crewmate insane, like dying from like an aneurysm instantly. And he wanted to just keep saying it, to just study it. Like he wanted to just like eat some popcorn and just watch the whole entire crew just die, just so we can learn about how other species kind of function below him. Even the Q knew of death. This is the thing. Like the Nagilum just had no clue whatsoever. And later on, I will have to show that the Q did try to commit suicide when he lost his powers. So he does know about the concept, but Nagilum does not. So you could make an argument for Nagilum being definitely up there, if you know what you're talking about. Crazy stuff. So then, of course, like tying this all up, with Q's role with all of this, he basically serves as the judge of all of humanity throughout the Star Trek universe, as he would state at once. I think this could imply fairly omnipresence, and that's a pretty badass throne, if I do say so myself. So now that hopefully you know a bit about Q as a character, let's go into his powers a bit. I'd say Feats more, but as I said earlier, he mostly scares everyone away, or when people fight him, he just one-shots. So to begin with, he first appeared like almost instantly in TNG, in the episode Encounter at Farpoint, where he trapped the Enterprise in a impenetrable like barrier. They obviously had no knowledge of what they were looking at. They haven't encountered the Q prior to this, and they didn't know like how far it went on for. And like don't sleep on the Enterprise. It is pretty broken. Like it has photon torpedoes and antimatter bombs, which can like shatter planets. It's faster than light by far, and it can like easily tank planet killer shots, which can turn gas giants into rubble easily. So like stop the cap when you say Millennium Falcon versus Enterprise. And he can also make them obviously whatever size he wants. Force fields. When he went on the ship, he trapped a couple crewmates in an elevator. So yeah. Okay, so this was obviously teleportation when he first arrived. Mainly just Picard to get your ass back. Picard being a savage, he's like, "Who the fuck are you, boy? Hell no." And then shit went down. We had a bit of ice manipulation. Some like when he was talking to Picard, some dumbass crewmate like pulled out like a phaser, like stun gun kind of, and then obviously like he sensed it, so he just like instantly turned around and just like looked at him in the face, and just got fucking took an L. Rip that guy. I would say this is at least nigh omniscience. So this is their first encounter together. So like without formal knowledge of the human race prior to this, as he stated, he still came in with historical like captain uniforms to try to like relate, and like he brought in like instant exposition of their aims on the spot of like who he was being. Like first, obviously he was Columbus. Columbus's like travels across the globe, Or then like when he turned, he was like, firstly, like take out the commies, and then when he did it again, he was a World War III soldier. Cut him some slack. I know it's kind of weird, but old show, and who knows what World War III soldiers look like. I guess that was like a cold ass war, and I think this is obviously some reality warping, because he was obviously creating uniforms off the spot out of nothing. And this was also absent throughout history for centuries. Picard said this. Like we haven't been savages for centuries, and all this is gone. So yeah. So the next couple of feats come from the episode Death Wish, from Voyager. We have this bum again. It's the Q from he made. I remember earlier. It's the desert road metaphor. He pops up again, and he's basically playing a game of cat and mouse with the cool Q. And here he was on Janeway's ship, kind of, hiding from Q. And at one point, he shrinks the ship down to the subatomic level to hide from him, and they get attacked by protons. And then comes similar size manipulation. So after the matter manipulation doesn't work, Q teleports in. Then Quinn BFRs them back out, and then Quinn sends them into being a ornament. The whole ship is an ornament on some random ass Christmas tree, so they know human holidays, I guess. And then somehow Q still found Quinn in the ship. He picks them up and is like, "Bro, just give it the fuck up." And guess what? He doesn't, since Quinn's being stupid. So yeah, with the cosmic awareness of Q somehow always finding Quinn. Quinn is a continuous bum, but he does keep showing feats, which is good for this, because he then does some nice time travel. He then shoots them back 20 billion years right before the Big Bang. So like he's literally just fine, just like killing everyone, because like he wanted to commit suicide. But he's kind of immortal. And like they were about to get all blown up. Like when the two Qs were like, slapping each other in the face. It's kind of like sick. Like Q was like, oh, maybe the human species will be actually spread across the universe. It's pretty dope. Now I guess for some durability feats, this is from Deja Q. This was around like when Q was being a prick and lost his powers. And it was kind of funny at first, but then it got kind of depressing, to be honest. So he tried to, at the end, kill himself. He like stole like a pod, and this was him talking to Picard about, I'm gonna go into straight into a big plasma cloud, and he came out like completely unscathed. And this is him as a complete human. So there's something like he's still somehow immortal as a human or something. No, the only thing that's like really known, like it said, to harm Qs are obviously other Qs, and mainly Q weaponry. Like the Q Civil War was well known, but they are known to recover from the weaponry quickly, and the use of these weapons in like far dimensions, like during the Civil War, for example, would cause like regular supernovas and great damage to subspace and countless universes during it, or like whenever you use it in general. So yeah, they dish out the damage. Imagine getting nailed that in the face and like surviving pretty easily. So then I'd say, moving on to Tapestry in TNG, I'd say like it's the soul absorption, resurrection, um, just being the divine deity of God. Um, this was like into the episode of Tapestry. Q created a reality, Elysium of Heaven, where he was portrayed as God with Picard's passing. Um, and after convincing Q that he needs another chance at life because he saw the life he wished for once was like terrible, and he'd rather die at his old life. Q revives Picard's essence and brings him back to life. And honestly, it's like one of my favorite scenes for between them. It's like Picard first sees him as God and just like instantly starts laughing and like you're not God and like insults him. It's good shit. So next, we have some reality warping, like pocket reality manipulation, possibly. This was in the episode Cupid. You gotta love the names, don't you? Basically, like Q pulled a Beyonder, like in Doctor Doom's Secret Wars, changing the Marvel Universe as he sees fit. This was when like Q created an elaborate fantasy built around the world of Robin Hood. Very cool episode. Using his powers, Q recreated the Sherwood Forest, turning Picard into Robin Hood, trying to save his lover Vash, obviously against everyone's full will. Picard is, really doesn't want any of this. So this is just another occurrence of Q being a reality warper for parties. It's when he got his powers back. So call him up for a wedding or divorce or graduation. Riker, being a savage, said, "I don't need your fantasy women," but he just wants to party. Next, you have some quantum manipulation and proven power removal. This was shown in Deja Q. This is when he gets his powers removed. He gets his ugly ass jumpsuit. This is when he was with Geordi and Data, and suggested to change the gravitational constant of the universe to dodge an asteroid. Like people like to like when someone brings this feat up during a debate or a thread, people are like, "Oh, but that was a statement. He never proved it." Well, I mean, for one, they see humans as the second lowest species. Why would you flex on them? Two, if you see the clip, he's literally running like the analytics at lightning fast speeds. Like he knows what he's talking about. And kind of like the other two can't fathom what he's saying. And like it's all too obvious with his tone. So I can definitely see that. And he's shown greater feats relating to it. So I take that as him doing it. And it's funny, he gets cranky later on. Since he's hungry and sleepy, and he's never felt those before. So, yeah, that's a good part. So then we have a showing of BFR, power bestowal, and some resurrection. This was shown in the episode Had in Q, where Q is shown to first BFR one of the crewmates, then grants Riker the powers of a Q, to which he proceeds to revive several crewmates who later die in the battle. He later discusses it and kind of goes like batshit insane. So it's pretty interesting and OP how Qs can casually just give any mortal the powers they want. Here's some reality warping from Q Jr. This was when like he was bored of like inspecting Captain Janeway's ship. He basically just like sat his ass down and created a battle of hundreds of huge ships, just for his amusement. To be fair, it did look pretty dope. And Q capitalized on this, or tried to, by making it a good deed so Q2 could get his powers back. That was a scan very early on that I showed. But he failed, sadly. And here, this is when Janeway first met Q. If you didn't know, Janeway was Q Jr.'s godmother, because in TNG, Q kind of had a boner for Janeway, and she didn't like him, obviously, but they kind of made a deal that if he ever had a kid, she'd be his godmother, and she really, got punished for that. And this is when she first met him when he's older, and he basically just put her whole entire crew into a temporal loop to kind of troll. Then you got wish granting, genie ass. This was in Deja Q with Riker. Basically, he gave Worf, that's the ugly looking mofo, like ogre guy, he gave him a wife. He gave Geordi his vision back, and made Wellesley an adult, and he offered to make Data a human being, but he rightfully refused. Okay, so next, from QQ and TNG, we have some omniscience and quantum manipulation. So basically, he's pulling some Mr. Mix crap here. Like, he was screwing with the Q. Like, he instantly shot them across space to the nearest Borg cube. You know, the Borg are like a kind of cyborg, one of the main antagonist species within Star Trek, and they would wash the crew and the Enterprise. The Borg cubes are insane. And Picard kind of has to humiliate himself, say how much he needs the Q, how fucked they are, and once he asks for Q's aid, Q pulls another Thanos and just snaps his fingers, and kind of shoots them back exactly where they needed to go again. Okay, not too impressive, but I thought just, shows how much Q doesn't give a shit and how bored he is, and fits with his genie role, granting wishes, why not? His levitation, just you could pop it in and float in with his long out. So yeah, that's Q for you. So I thought this was a pretty interesting ability and pretty funny. It's biological manipulation. He can grant sight to the blind. As I said before with Geordi, he can shut off one's vocal cords or seal their mouth shut. That's an L. He can control one's age. That can be related to time. Turn people into a completely different species. That was shown in the episode True Q, where Q turned Dr. Beverly Crusher into an Irish settler. And the possibilities are probably endless with this shit. So to kind of wrap it up, I wanted to just include a few scans from the book, one of the books. This was the Q conflict. So here, he confirms that all the most powerful races within the verse are fodder to the Q, and basically see it right to start wars with supernovas spilling over every reality to prove them all wrong. So this is pretty wild, and I think this is the cooler looking representation of what the Q weapons are available to accomplish and their destructibility. I thought this was interesting. Picard was confronting Q, obviously, because Picard's big balls, and he's like, "Why are you playing with us, bro?" Then Picard is like, "Okay, you want the humans to act on our part?" So then he snaps them to a different reality, where I would think these are all different Q members that Picard can't fathom seeing, and they're also on a chessboard. High reversal confirmed. On Discord, one of our Discords, there's a meme going on. Chess is the most powerful thing within the most powerful concept alive. Comment down below if you want to see a chess video. So here, this was after you decided okay, Picard, you want you guys to decide what happens with our conflicts. You want humanity to fight for us. So then he basically just intertwines all the timelines together. And Kirk hasn't met Picard before, or Janeway, so he just casually intertwined everything and just said, "Yeah, fight, kill each other." And then before it, he brings up during context a legendary long forgotten race of the Iconians, to which the Q says, "No race is lost to us." So the Q have perfect memories, I assume. Then he proceeds to flex and pull out some still active Iconian gateways, and one of their planets, which has quotes, has become a patchwork of their countless tiny pieces of thousands of other worlds, all overlaid on each other, upon each other. So yeah, I don't know. He just likes to flex. So yeah, I think that's a good amount for video to get into Q. For people who are kind of unfamiliar, I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed making it for my first video. If you enjoyed liking it, or have any feedback, be sure to put in the comment section. I'm not gonna be one of those cringe fests who would be like, comment, subscribe. No, you do what you want, bro. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna try to make more videos down the line. I'm gonna do more content, maybe outside Star Trek. I'm still gonna try to do Star Trek, but I'm thinking of doing a classic Manhattan Does He Have Limits video, because I was talking about it with my friend. So we'll see, but I wanted to see what you guys think. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you guys soon. Peace.